Hey everyone, welcome back to 996 The Howl. The worst part about hockey is finally over, the preseason, and the worst part about being a Coyotes fan, the preseason is over as well. Honestly, I can't think of anything worse about being a Coyotes fan than half or more than half of your preseason games you cannot watch. You can only scoreboard watch. I think I caught 2 periods of the Vancouver game and then just decided I hate preseason so much. Mentioned it last year. If there's no emotion, nothing at stake, why are we watching hockey? And it went on for a very long time. It was like 2.5 weeks, a preseason. I really hate it. Not much, like you can't really go too deep into reading the preseason because, last year the Coyotes had a stellar preseason and then lost 12 straight in the regular season. So now this year they lose 7 straight in preseason. So maybe they win their first game of the season Thursday against Pittsburgh. I doubt it, but let's talk about what we can talk about. Maybe there's some things we could glean from the preseason. But yeah, they lost all their games. The only point they got was an overtime loss. I honestly forget who it was against. Maybe Vegas. Power play, 5 out of 20, 25%, pretty good. I want their special teams to be better this year. Last year, their special teams were 14% on the power play and 75% on the penalty kill. So I'm liking that, in the preseason, they were better than last year's numbers. I see that, 38 penalties is a bit too much. They had 10 penalties in their second game of the season or one of their games. They had 10 penalties. I obviously think it was against Vancouver. They killed off 9 of those 10 penalties, so maybe a bit undisciplined. That Vancouver game, it was like the Roadrunners lineup against the Canucks full lineup, full NHL roster. I think they're just missing Quinn Hughes on the back end. They even had Demko in net. It was a pretty brutal game. They only had 7 shots in that game against Vancouver. In that game against Vegas, the first one, the Coyotes had 53 shots. So bizarre, results from some of these preseason games. Overall, they average about 24 shots per game. I want that higher than 25. The Coyotes last year, very low shooting team, but a very high shooting percentage team. I would like them to get more shots, generate some more offense, and be a bit more dangerous. I know the whole MO around the team this year and this preseason has been relentless hockey. You're going to hear that a lot from the coaching staff and the players. Be competitive every night, have energy every night. I did not see that in that Vancouver game. No one had any energy. No one was driving the play, making an impact. Maybe it was just a one-off, considering that the matchup was so lopsided in favor of Vancouver. Maybe that's just a one-off game, but I'm hoping that we get to see more of these games, 1-goal games, maybe an empty netter to make it a 2-goal game, just a competitive game. That they score and they're in it. They ultimately lose for the tank, but make it a good, competitive, close game. I'll make a video about my expectations for this upcoming season in a couple days. In terms of player individual stats, it looks like Barrett Hayden was the only one who showed up and actually did well. He had 6 points in 5 games. Some of the highlights I was seeing from Hayden: confident with the puck, stopping up on the play. So he'll grab the puck with possession, use his speed on the wing, and then stop, look for the open man, and generate offense like that. That's what I want to see from Hayden. Have patience with the puck, confidence, make the right play. Don't, get flushed with the puck or chuck the puck, dump it in and make the wrong play. I want to see some skill out of Hayden when he has the puck. He looked like he was having fun pretty fast, considering, he signed his contract the day of training camp. So he looked ready, he looked prepared. One of our best players in the preseason. Clayton Keller did not play in the preseason. He was scheduled to play the last 2 games, but ultimately, Bill Armstrong and the coaching staff decided they'll just rest him. He played in every practice, so he's not injured. He should be ready for the first game against Pittsburgh. Chychrun did not play in the preseason. He is actually injured with a wrist injury. He's doubtful to start the season. Schmaltz only played 2 games in the preseason. He's dealing with a day-to-day injury. Hopefully he's back for the first game against Pittsburgh this week. Some other notables, if you can say that: Fisher had 4 goals in 5 games. Gunther, 3 goals in 6. Michelli as well, 3 goals in 6. Looks like Michelli and Gunther were getting a lot of games. They played 6 out of the 7 games, the most on the Coyotes roster, not including defense. So, obviously disappointed that Gunther and Michelli didn't light it up, have a huge impact, or like Jan Yannick's not even on here. Would have liked to see him get, some offensive production. But, Yannick did it in other ways. He was very physical. He injured, not to say that injuring a player is good, but he was making an impact physically. He had a huge clean hit on Trevor Zegras against Anaheim, which knocked out Zegras for the preseason. The Anaheim fans weren't a fan of that, but it's good that Yannick's trying to find other ways to make an impact. And that's good. If you can't, contribute offensively in production, it's better to find something to make you stick in the lineup and find something the coaches like about you. And Krause played about 4 or 5 preseason games and had 0 points, so disappointing for Krause. He just signed that big contract, $5 million, so I would have expected some production out of him. He was one of our top guys playing in 4 or 5 preseason games, considering Schmaltz and Keller were injured. So it's unfortunate to not see Krause's name there. Some pairings that we saw consistently throughout the preseason, which will eventually turn into regular season lines. Hayden and Richie were paired together almost every preseason game they played, continuing from last year. It works. Richie, when he came over from Toronto, lit the lamp a lot of times. Hayden had a great end to the season. It just worked. And if it works, don't fix it. If Hayden needs some space out there created by, a big body like Richie, then that helps Hayden out. We're not looking to Richie to be a skilled guy. Just create space for Hayden. Richie shouldn't be touching the puck a lot, so that gives Hayden more time to touch the puck, have possession, and make some skillful plays. Fisher, O'Brien, and McBain is probably going to be our 4th line. It's not bad. Maybe I would like O'Brien to be scratched a couple nights. I don't want him to be a regular on the roster. I know he's signed a one-way league minimum contract, so we're paying him to sit out games, but I would like to see some other players rotate in with O'Brien. Maybe Yannick, or maybe Yannick goes higher in the lineup. But if O'Brien's there every game, I would like to see some more offense in that 4th line. McBain had a great rookie tournament, not so much a preseason. So maybe that offensive production comes out of McBain in that 4th line center role in the regular season. And then on defense, they were throwing that defensive roster into the blender almost every game. But, we saw Timmins and Nemeth be paired for 3 games. It looks like Nemeth will probably start the regular season, unfortunately, due to Chychrun's injury and due to Soderstrom being sent down to Tucson. The defense is looking like, you got Gostisbehere, Timmins, Mayo, Moser, Nemeth, and did I say Gostisbehere? Probably did. So you got Timmins, Nemeth, Mayo, Moser. I'll leave that to the side. But with Chychrun's injury, we'll likely see Nemeth in on the defense, which is unfortunate because Nemeth is not really a good defenseman. But, if we see Nemeth and Brown play on the same night, they're both dressed, that's probably a recipe for disaster. But, they sent Soderstrom down, they sent Smith down, and they sent Prosvetov down. I think those were the 3 players that may have surprised some people. I wanted Soderstrom and Prosvetov on Tucson this year full-time, play big minutes, lead that team to the playoffs again. Nathan Smith was a bit of a surprise to me, but not to someone like Craig Morgan, who I tweeted, and he replied back saying he was not surprised. Looks like Smith is expected to be the 1st-line center for the Tucson Roadrunners. Smith is more of a skillful centerman, so he needs to be in that top 6, maybe 3rd-line center. But with the signing of Nick Bukestad, you pretty much have Travis Boyd, Barrett Hayden, Bukestad, and McBain as your center depth. So obviously there will be injuries in the regular season. So I'm pretty sure Smith will be the first call-up in case of a center injury. The remaining rookies on the team, I believe the rosters need to be confirmed and sent to the NHL office Monday afternoon. So Michelli, Yannick, and Gunther are the three remaining rookies. I expect Michelli to be sent down to Tucson. I expect Gunther to be sent to juniors, but I don't know if the Coyotes will give him the 9-game look. For sure, I don't want him to get the 10-game look and then his contract counts for this year. I'm sure management is smart enough to not do that. It would be a surprise to see him play 9 games, but eventually he will go down back to the Western Hockey League and lead his team back to the Memorial Cup and hopefully win it and hopefully not get injured in the WHL playoffs like he did a couple months ago. And then Yannick, maybe I could see him getting a spot on the roster. I'd rather Yannick get a spot than Laurent Dauphin. I don't want Dauphin on the roster. If you see Dauphin dressing up for the Coyotes, it's just going to bring back flashbacks and nightmares from years prior. And I'm pretty sure they're going to sign Chase on. He's on a PTO. One of the 2 PTOs the Coyotes had. The other was Chris Gibson, who they immediately did not sign because their goalie situation is just abysmal. But back to Chase on. I'd rather have Chase on in the lineup, a veteran, sort of like one of those Eriksson, Galchenyuk, Beagle, Andrew Ladd type of veterans who's on his last legs in the NHL, but maybe if he performs, he could be flipped for a pick at the trade deadline. I'd rather Chase on in the lineup than, like I said, Dauphin. Bukestad looked pretty good, big body, big centerman, some good energy, more energy than a guy like Roussel or Beagle in that 3rd or 4th line center position. So there won't be too many surprises. If I see Michelli make the roster, that'll be a surprise. If I see Gunther play more than 9 games, that'll be a surprise, but for sure that's not going to happen. But if Michelli and Unique are on the roster, that's pretty good. Get some young talent to look forward to. If a guy like Chason takes Michelli's spot, or Cassian, or Dauphin, it's like, you can't really get excited about those guys. You know exactly what they bring to the table every game. You're not looking forward to their growth. So it'd be nice to see some rookie make the lineup. But, you never know what the coaching staff thinks. I think they're going to load up the Tucson Roadrunners for them to create a winning culture down there because it's been miserable the past 2 seasons. So that could also happen. But we'll see. So the first regular season game is Thursday on the road against Pittsburgh. I'll have a season preview video up as well as like my 5 expectations for this team because it's going to be one of those tough years. You want the team to take the next step, but at the same time, it's like you have a generational talent, speculated generational talent there in the first overall pick for the upcoming draft. So, at the same time, you want them to take a next step. You want them to play good hockey. You also want them to get higher odds for the lottery. So it's going to be another tough season, but hopefully with the new arena, the new atmosphere at home, maybe some of these young rookies getting longer looks and making an impact. Maybe it could be an exciting season, but you never know. We could be in for a rough one again. So that's it for me. I'm not going to talk about goaltending because it's just a bad situation. Hopefully they pick up someone on waivers. They had Decord on waivers from Seattle yesterday. I wonder if they pick him up today. But they had Johansson picked up on waivers. The Gibson trial didn't work out. John Gillies had a rough night last night against Vegas. Vamelka didn't look too good against Vancouver. So, the goaltending position, it's just a backbreaker. I mean, letting in soft goals is so, deflating for a fan. And I'm sure a player on the bench seeing your goalie let in a soft goal just deflates you. And it's hard to get that energy back into that next shift. So hopefully something is in the works to fix that, to shore up the goaltending. Craig Morgan reported that the organization's not really happy with their goaltending situation. Neither am I. It's a rough one. Hopefully it gets fixed. That's it for me. Thanks for watching. If you like what you see, spread the word. And as always, thank you for your support.